I've been tracking my macros recently, and there is so much that I've learned just by doing this practice for a single day. And I've been doing this for like 2-3 days now, but after the first day I realized I should record a video on the stuff that I've learned from actually doing this practice, because it was so useful to evaluating what my diet actually looks like from a genuine perspective, just not like my own self-centered echo chamber kind of view of the kind of stuff that I ate on a daily basis, and actually like an objective point of view that this app, the most common basic calorie tracking app that everyone gets when they're starting out their fitness journey, MyFitnessPal, that's the one that everyone uses. And I thought I'd just try it, see how it goes. And the reason that I never really calorie tracked before was simply because I felt I didn't have the time to like weigh out the stuff, log all the stuff, and put some effort into doing that. But I also just felt like it wasn't really worth it. I was bulking, and so my mantra was just to eat as much as I can every day consistently, and hopefully I'd gain weight. And it started off really well, but over time it kind of, my weight just, I wasn't gaining as much weight as I'd like to. I wasn't bulking up enough, and so I thought I'd use this and actually see if I was getting the adequate amount of calories that I need to bulk, because I felt like I mean, the way to gain weight is just to eat more calories than you burn, and so I must be doing something wrong in that department. And it turns out that I wasn't, as much as I was eating like a lot of food and not a lot of it was calorific, I was eating healthy stuff, and I was eating quite healthily. The way I decided to bulk was I'd eat a lot of healthy food, and hopefully that would be calorific enough so that I didn't have to eat lots of, or a small amount of fast food and ruin my quality of life and sort of nutrient intake in a way. And it started working, but as I kind of went through the months not calorie tracking, it sort of just stagnated and went off and sort of hit a plateau. And so I wanted to start doing it, see if I could figure things out, and I did. On the first day of calorie tracking, my macros, which is your macronutrient intake, your carbs, your protein, your fats and stuff, I realized I was having quite a lot of carbs on a day-to-day basis. And this is because on most days I have like a porridge. I have a porridge, some frozen fruit, some lactose-free milk, and all that sort of stuff, and that's quite a carb-centered thing. And I had that twice on this specific day, and clearly not enough fat at all to actually tip over to the kind of 3,300 mark, which is what I'm sort of aiming for calorie-wise on a daily basis. And then I realized this immediately in the evening and was like, okay, I need to start eating a little bit more fat, the kind of the good fats, not the sort of ultra processed, unhealthy frying fats, the vegetable oil fats and all that sort of stuff, but the whole food fats, the kind of fats you'll find in milk and butter, the kind of fats you find in nuts, maybe even some things like avocados and olives. I wasn't quite getting enough of those kind of fats, and that made me sort of reevaluate the way that I do my diet. One thing that kind of did factor into this a bit is one of the best whole food sources of fat, in my opinion, seems to come from dairy. And maybe this is just because I don't have much dairy, because I'm mildly lactose intolerant and it can get in the way of my day-to-day life a little bit, so I try to keep that on the moderate side. But things like butter, things like double cream and stuff can be quite a good source of healthy saturated fats. And before you kind of question me as to why you're saying saturated fats are healthy, there is a lot more rising evidence that saturated are not actually as bad as society demonizes them to be. We've kind of made up this whole thing that saturated fats are absolutely horrible for us, and that's not really the case at all. Saturated fatty acids are the most simple fatty acids you can get, and polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is seen as healthier, contain lots of carbon-carbon double bonds, which can cause lipid peroxidation inside of your cell membranes, which creates free radicals and is not good for your cell sort of cellular aging in a way at all. So saturated fats actually have their benefits in a weird sort of way, and that might seem like quite a bit of news to you, but things like butter and cream are actually quite good sources of this, but I just try to keep them on the moderate side. And I realized maybe if I added a little bit more of them into my diet, make it a bit more like 3-4 times a week rather than 1 to 2 times a week, if that makes any sense. I realized I was still having quite a lot of carbs in my diet, and while that may be because that specific day I didn't have 2 fried eggs, I only had 1 fried egg for my breakfast. I think I had maybe 2 sets of porridge instead of just the 1, which I would normally do. That could be a contributing factor. But the 2 days after the first day calorie tracking, I've had a much higher fat intake, and a lot of that is saturated fatty acids. Another thing I suppose from macro tracking that I've realized is that as a percentage of my total daily calories, I don't actually get that much protein. As a percentage of daily calories, it's something more like 20% to 25%. And as much as I am hitting like my daily protein goal, I suppose, like 1 gram of protein for 1 pound of body weight, etc., as a percentage of my total macros, it's actually quite low. But it's weird because I am eating so many calories that I'm still actually hitting the kind of protein goal that I need to build muscle. But as well as this, I feel like tracking macros can actually be quite beneficial to you. The whole sort of numbers and hitting the goals that you really want can sort of motivate you and spur you to achieve the goals that you want. And I kind of understood this, and I just never really got this before. I tried to simplify it, go like a more natural route, but I feel like when you're using these kind of calorie trackers and stuff, you are more likely to reach your goals because you have this sort of nice user interface, nice sort of representation of the stuff that you're eating on a day-to-day basis, and it can like help you out quite a lot. And I think it will probably help me reach my goals faster than if I kind of kept on at this stagnation point, just thinking that I was doing the right thing, even though there was definitely way more I could have done to improve on my diet. And now I actually know the kind of steps that I need to take. So I do recommend calorie tracking, even if you just kind of start out with just counting calories instead of focusing on the whole macro things. But getting an app like the most basic one you could think of, MyFitnessPal or something like that, that will still help. And I mean, literally just taking it out like 5 minutes of your day to just log in the 100 grams of oats or the 50 grams of frozen fruit, the 1 apple, the 1 banana that you ate that day can actually be really useful to you reaching your goals. And as much as I am talking about things like bulking here, you can use this for cutting as well. And as you see the numbers of your weight go down using these like calorie trackers and weighing yourself and stuff like that, I felt like you'll reach your goals faster. One of the times in my life, which would have been about a year and 5 months ago, was when I started tracking my weight like religiously, and I felt like I actually gained the most weight during that period in time. And then as I sort of stopped it because I was like, oh, I've gained loads of weight, let's just carry on doing what we're doing, I kind of started to stagnate, which is weird because I still felt like I was doing the same things. But I feel like just tracking your progress, and your brain will sort of subconsciously do things to make you reach your goals. If like one day after you've been gaining weight for a steady period of time and then one day you have a drop, your brain will like sort of subconsciously think of things to do to make sure that you still carry on that increasing trend or decreasing trend depending on your goals. I feel like your brain is just smart like that, and it will subconsciously work out things to do. And I think that's a great feature of the human body, and that's why I think that tracking your progress with weight and calories and macros and stuff is actually quite a good thing for you, and I recommend trying it just as I have. And it may not be something that works out for you quite yet. The one reason that I first advertise is to not count calories and macros is that it can deter you from starting off on your fitness journey, because it's like, oh, I've got to go to the gym, I've got to count calories and macros and weigh all my food, and it's just too much time in my current busy and stressful environment. But just start off on the simple stuff. Start off, I agree, just starting to exercise. If your goal is to lose weight, gain weight, build muscle, etc., then maybe once you get the hang of that, then you can start counting calories and really starting to optimize your diet to how you like it and towards your goals. But with that, I recommend subscribing for more content like this, and have a good day.